I'm only combative, when it comes to getting things to work. If people try to stop me from getting things to work properly, I get very combative. All right, so the phone is on. I just need to wait a little bit before it gets to where it needs to go. Okay, so just to catch you up a little bit, I did a research on the conversion between content URL because what we saw last time was content : / and then it has some kind of path. So the conversion between a content URL to a full file path is actually not easy. I looked at the Android SDK code to do it, and even in that format, it was not easy. And App Inventor apparently does not have any ability to do that. So what we're doing is we are trying to do a camera, taking a still picture and see whether it has the same issue or similar issues. So that's what we are doing now. So we need to start the camera. Okay, so we got screen copy. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and install the app. Right over here. There we go. All right. So the app is installed and we'll start it. And then we just say take a picture. Okay, so turn on location tag. Take a picture of nothing. And okay. All right. So this is different. You can see how, when we take a picture, we actually get a path to the file. So it's an actual file path instead of a content URI. So that means, yes, I know. Thank you. Back. There we go. So now we can try to share. And we'll share it by saving to my drive, just like last time, but it didn't work last time. Saving to the drive. Okay, this is just an image, and I'll put it into, let's see. So we'll pick a folder, ARC, BCS, and CIS. Okay. So we'll select unable to refresh, check your network connection. And that's because I changed my password yesterday, so the network is not connecting. So I have to reset that too. So long press, forget network, go back in, and this time I can specify the correct password. And we have to make sure that we use MS-CHAP v2 as phase 2 authentication. And then CA certificate is unspecified. Okay. And then we got our password here. I'm just going to hide the screen a little bit. Not that I don't trust you guys, but I don't trust other people who might be watching the YouTube video. Then they can use my identity, sign into Canvas, and fail all of you, right? Oh, that's the wrong portion. Okay, so let me double check everything. So we got PEEP, no certificate required, show advanced options. I think we're good here, connect. Okay, so it's connected, very good. All right. So I had to do this because now it can actually synchronize with the drive. So we say select, save, okay, and we can actually see traffic, and my drive is notifying me that, oh, you got a file, blah, blah, blah. So this works. So this is good, okay, we got this. So it's only with the video that it doesn't seem to work because it's using the content URL instead of using the file path URL. So that is good. So let's check out audio recording too. So, well, until we have a way to convert the content URL to the file path, we cannot do it. So there are people who work on this and figure out a way to do it. Let me show you what I found. So this is a link to another website where somebody wrote an extension to enable the conversion between a content URL to a file URL. So, but the solution is not simple. As you can see, that it's a pretty long description of what you need to do. So it's not, I'm not going to talk about it, because it's really kind of a lot more involved than, what I think is appropriate for this class. So unless someone has a really burning desire to do it, we'll just kind of go like, we are not going to do that. All right, but we can try other types of media too. So we just tried out camcorder. That didn't work with sharing, but it did work with previewing. We tried camera, that works okay, and now we want to try a sound recorder to see if we can record sound. So now, instead of taking a picture, we are just going to say record, okay, and then go back to the blocks, change it accordingly. So when button 1 is clicked, don't take a picture. Instead, we go to the recorder. You can, but you can do it both at the same time. The problem is, both of them will give you a screen to say, should I take a picture now or should I record now? So you can only have one thing at a time. Yep. So you can do those, in consecutively, like, yeah. So this one, you need a click to start, and then we can have a long click to stop, because with a sound recorder, it's just on and off. So you start here, and then we'll have a long click for button 1 to stop it. Okay. There we go. And after it is stopped, after the recording is recorded, we'll pick up this block here, this dash here. So we are going to remember the name of the sound recording file and display it on the label just like before. Okay. All right. And then the share is going to be the same, because button 2, which is responsible for sharing, can remain the same. I mean, clip name is not really a good variable name anymore, because it is really just a media file name. But we are just going to keep it the way it is before when we just test the program. So if you want to record a picture, and the sound at the same time, so the way to do it is to start the voice recorder, okay, get it going first, and then you take a picture. And then after you take the picture, then you have the option to stop the recorder, the voice recorder. So we can look into that. We can play with that here. Because it sounds like the voice recorder doesn't give you its own media button. It just start recording in the background. So until we give it a try, we don't know for sure. All right. I think I know what happened to those light tubes. Um, on Monday, right after this class, they got two classes that got transplanted from uh, the library, lower levels of the library, because they were doing some electrical work over there. So they got two classes that had to move into this classroom, and those instructors specifically want to have a lecture classroom instead of a lab classroom. So they're kind of picky about the setup of the classroom. I bet you it's one of those instructors who said, "Hey, how come these lights are not turning on? My students cannot see the whiteboard because I don't use a screen." So and they requested the light bulbs be reinstalled. But now that the library is fixed, they're not gonna be here anymore. So I think these will remain off for the rest of the semester. All right, so let's give it a try. All right, so record. It will ask you for permission. Okay, fine. Okay, that didn't work. All right, so from experience, we know that this can be just because we didn't have one of the blocks. So we have to go back to sound recorder. So we got start recording. We have started recording. Okay, so we just have to put the block somewhere, and possibly not to do a single thing about it, because I think it is just the presence of the blocks that's going to trigger the app to ask for permission to write to external storage. We saw this earlier. We saw it with the GPS thing. If we do not include the block of notify when there's a status change, it doesn't work. But as soon as we put the block in, everything started to work. So this is the sort of thing that we learned as we go.
Stopped though before?
And
When we did it before, we only need to start it though, right? To ask that general permission. We also need to stop.
we got all the blocks now.
No, I know. I'm asking, do you think we need that one to get that?
We might, because we don't know. Because we don't know which one triggers App Inventor to see that, we are trying to record things, and
We're not gonna know from the phone at the same time.
well, I just want it to work. Okay, fine. We'll do the incremental test, right?
Well, then we'll know which one.
It's not like knowing which one is going to help us.
You never know. More knowledge is always better.
Well, I mean, App Inventor itself is open sourced, so I found that you can actually download a version of App Inventor. They can actually run on your own computer, so you don't need network connection, when you do something like this. So everything is just on localhost. But it's like slightly outdated, so. Okay, there we go. We install the app, and then we run it again. Nope, doesn't like it. So the complaint is write external storage is not, that permission is not set up correctly. All right, so, and we'll have stopped recording. And if this doesn't fix the problem, then we have, it's an issue that we may not be able to fix. Unless we can change the Android manifest file.
You have to take out started and leave stopped if it works to see if both works.
I have a sinking feeling that this may not work either. All right, so let's go back, reinstall, and then run it again. Oops. Yep, still doesn't work. The permission write external storage is not set up.
So it's not asking permission still, it's not an issue,
Yeah.
Do
Uh,
you think that's the same with the phone?
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, but it has to be something like that, right? It has to be like every phone is different. Because it's hard to imagine that they would make a block or something that never works. You know what I mean? Like without weird.
Hmm. Okay, let me check the error message again. Write external storage, not file. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this one does need to write external storage. Nope. There's no solution from here. Okay, so it explains right here the manifest is automatically made by App Inventor based on the requirement of the app components used, and there's no user ability to edit or input. The subject is touched on your original post if you are saying that you think your app is not using any component, post your project file here. Okay. Okay, Canvas does need that because it has the ability to save the image. But we never had this problem before. That is interesting. So maybe something is just not triggering it to do it. We'll take a picture too. So we'll take a picture while starting the recorder, because taking a picture probably needs to write to the external storage. So maybe it is we need to associate actions with those empty event handlers. Because the actual code or the logic of App Inventor, how it triggers the inclusion of those blocks is unknown to us unless we start to read the source code. And if you think this is bad, like, oh man, we run into permission issues and we have to figure out, what permissions we need to give to the application, wait until you actually use Android Studio and Android SDK. It gets even worse.
Which studio?
Android Studio. Yeah, because that tool does not really tell you either, and things are even more fragmented, than this one. Nope, still doesn't like it. I can take a picture. There's no problem with taking a picture. I can save the picture, but it's not doing.
There's some settings on the phone itself that say like deny all apps used to microphone. And it's worth checking.
Mm,
Bugging, right?
yeah, it's not a microphone issue, pretty sure, because it says the permission, related permission is right to external storage. Yeah. So I'm gonna have one last thing to do, which is RTFM. Read the fine manual. Okay, so it says right here, specify the path, saved recording. Specifies the path to the file where recording should be stored. If this property is the empty string, then starting a recording will create a file. If the property is not an empty string, it should specify a complete path to a file in an existing directory, including a file name with the extension of .3gp. And then we got the events: after sound recorded, started recording, stopped recording. So this one says the recording has started, can be stopped, which means it's kind of optional to capture the event. Unless you want to have a button that changes color, and say, okay, now we can click the button again to stop it. And then this one says, indicates that the recorder has stopped and can be started again. So it's really just a state change of the recorder. And then we got these following methods. There's only one block that I haven't really included yet, which is a saved recording. So maybe I just need to kind of include that one too. The methods are only start and stop. So we have pretty much used every single event and blocks here, except for saved recording. So that's going to be the last one, right? So we'll give it a try. All right. All right, so we have to put that block somewhere. Okay. Okay, specify the path to the file where the recording should be stored. Oh, okay. But this is not something I can set. This is a get only type of thing. So that's the that's the interesting part. So where am I going to put this? Well, let's see. Okay, so we can try to put it here instead of getting sound. We can put it here. See what happens. Okay. Nope, still doesn't like it. All right. So maybe I'm missing something. Could be. I can check it. So to check that, okay, so we can go to applications and then go to media. Huh? Media. There we go. Alright, so mobile data, no data is used. Okay, storage. Nope. Alright. Okay.
Next time I'll just have you ask the question. Although it better work right now, otherwise I'm talking shit. Now you gotta delete all those extra blocks and see which ones.
Oh, okay. It's recording now. Good job. Okay, we can take a picture, click OK, and that's it. But we are not updating the text for label 1. Oh, because we haven't long pressed it to stop the recording. Okay, so this one is definitely shareable too because it has a full path. So let's give it a try. Okay, so we'll share. No. So we have to we have to.
Actually calling the store or the app, like you didn't go back to the blocks.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, you changed
You
it.
changed it from the actual call.
You're right. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sound.
and this time I'm going to be careful and say both of you were right. It's kind of odd that it doesn't prompt me on the screen as it prompted the other permissions. That part may be phone or version dependent.
I feel like that would affect the video at all though too. That's the weird thing. 'Cause it was straight for saving to disk, right? I mean that's what it is.
Well, the only difference between the video and all of these is the video, gave me a URI that starts with content colon slash slash instead of file colon slash slash or just starting with a slash. So it didn't give me an actual path, file path to the video clip. So that was the big difference. Reinstall.
Do you have one of those Lego toys?
Lego Mindstorms?
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
Are we gonna do that? Are we gonna go over that at some point?
Well, sure we can.
I think it'd be kind of cool.
It's just sitting on my desk at home.
It's not a good thing for it.
All right, so we.
Because I want to check it out for my kids.
Okay. Yep, looks like we are getting it. Click save. Yep, one file is being uploaded, so that works. So video is the only one that we still cannot get to work. But now that we can go to change that permission, we'll give it one last try.
It's worth a shot, right?
It's worth a shot, yes. All right, so the click is now going to take these two out. Just put it in the trash can. And then we go to the camcorder. Right there. And have it to record. And then the long click doesn't have anything to do anymore. And then we don't really need that block anymore because we're not doing sound. Huh? Yeah, we do. We have to put it into the after video recorded. Yep, after recording. So we take this block, stash it here. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so give it a try.
Check your settings.
Check it. There was actually one post about the GPS, and people were complaining, it's not working. How come it's not working? But that was from like 2017 or something, so I don't think anyone is reading that thread anymore. That's the problem with Google search because the volume of information is always increasing. So the search engine is now digging back to like, oh, this is an answer from 2015, but it's not really applicable.
I actually changed only to look in the last few weeks or couple 24
Oh, okay.
hours. I always change that setting for that reason.
Well, it depends on what you're looking up. You mean
Yeah,
certain
it
things.
depends on what you're looking for.
Yep.
And under the tools bar,
Yep.
it's there and it's useful.
Yep.
I don't need like Excel advice from Windows 98. No, I agree. I'm just not one of them. So limiting the date range helps.
Certainly does.
Trying to come up with a new internet, man. It's not coming up. Think about it all the time. I think our internet's so outdated.
Well, to have something new, you have to burn the old one down.
It'll burn itself down.
It will bog itself down. Not necessarily burn itself down.
It won't drown itself down.
Okay, come on. It's compiling. 30%. Move.
So out of curiosity, with
Mhm.
the internet,
Mm-hmm.
how is there so much storage that things are allowed to keep growing? I mean, it has to sit somewhere. Physical
Well,
storage.
we have all these, data center, and storage is getting higher. The density of storage is increasing all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, they build like data centers now in like Antarctica, aren't they?
Under the ocean.
Or the other one.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's
Under
not
the
there.
ocean?
Yep.
Yeah, because it's
Nice
cool.
cool temperature.
Which saves a lot of money on electricity.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. I wonder because, my computer gets out of storage. And it's like, it tells me I have to delete stuff.
Yeah, but if you look at the density of storage, it's really high. Because 1 terabyte solid state drive is, well, I mean, it's a little bit bigger than like a few maybe a pack of chewing gums.
Yes.
That's about the size of it.
But they save everything because everything anyone prints on the internet is saved somewhere. So it's like it has to be stored somewhere for them to come back and say, oh, we have this from, you said 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, MySpace lost a bunch of stuff. That should save some. Okay, so we got recording. Turn on the recorder. It's now recording some useless stuff. Stop the recording. Okay, click OK. Yeah, it's still using content. You can see the content URL, and the conversion between this content URL to a actual file URL is not easy. I looked it up already, and you need to write some Java code to do that, and understand the class hierarchy of Android and all kinds of stuff like that. So I have no idea why this is the only one that gives us a content URL. So it's not shareable because share requires a file URL and cannot be a content URL. So that is kind of unfortunate.
Probably one person was given each different thing, and the one person thinks
Yeah.
the manual on how they should write it.
Yep. Yep.
So when you take a picture,
Mhm.
where does that go?
When you take a picture, I mean, we tested that. I think it just went to the camera, folder. Yeah, we can look for that. So if I go back to the gallery, we should be able to see the picture. Yep. So those are all from today. So these are all pictures that we took from today. It's kind of hard to differentiate which one is which one. because they're all having the forward camera facing down on the table, so they're all blank. So they look like they're blank, but they're not, right? I mean,
So
yeah,
you're able to have access to the pictures. And
Yeah.
it looks like even the recording is
yeah. The recording is here too. You can share from here. Yep. Yep. So some weird stuff. Okay, somebody asked about the Lego Mindstorms, so I'm going to address that a little bit. It's really kind of fun, but there's a caveat to the whole thing. So this one only applies to the NXT version of Mindstorms. So when you are thinking about, oh, I'm going to buy myself, buy my kids, a Lego Mindstorms, you have to make sure that your Lego Mindstorms is the NXT version, which can be difficult to get because the NXT version is old.
It's old as that much?
It's old, but it's also what people really want, and that's why it is expensive.
$700.
Yeah, so this is the NXT.
Never mind, you don't have to show this because I'm never going to afford it.
after paying for your plane tickets, right?
They're only gonna play with it
Well, this one is not too bad. I mean,
Finish your year.
$289. I mean, that's not too bad. But you need to have the NXT kit because the communication protocol, I guess changed between the versions.
Maybe I get lucky and find one I can watch it. I'll
You
go
might be able to
rich
find one.
neighborhoods.
Yep. Or go to some high schools. Maybe they outdated some of the robot kits, so they actually have like stacks of these things. They're waiting for somebody to take them away. Yep.
Shop Easter toys? Now we're selling Easter?
Well, why do you think we have a spring break? And why do you think the spring break is not actually on the first day of spring? The school is not supposed to refer to spring break as Easter break, but everybody just kind of understood, oh, it's Easter break. But since I'm an atheist, I will also say this is creating a hostile work environment.
That's the first time I'm seeing like toys on Easter. The kids are gonna start expecting toys on Easter.
Maybe one of those self-hiding Easter eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a battery, sensor, GPS sensor, and a whole bunch of other things. So you just put it on the floor, and it just go hide itself like cockroaches, right?
Or I can log in from here in class and just have a toy from her.
Yep. And then you open it up, it turns out that it really is just a cockroach inside. It's kind of like those hamster ball, except it's not a hamster inside the ball, it's a cockroach inside an Easter egg.
Okay, that part's not a good idea. The first part.
So it has it has a neural net, so you can even advertise it, and say that this is powered by the latest and greatest neural net,
I'm
AI.
hoping that I'm gonna pay our movers a little extra money and pack all the toys in 70 boxes and be like, hey, lose this.
You could also donate it.
Oh, I'm trying to. It's the wife and kids. It's lost.
It's not your fault.
Don't buy it.
They won't even remember that they had those toys.
They don't. I throw out shit all the time. Or I donate. I don't throw it out. But constantly.
Okay,
And
so
there's still too much. That's the thing.
yep, I know the
My phone
feeling.
has 2 bags of toys right now. I need to get rid of.
Yeah, and then when you're donating, you sometimes you don't want to donate toys that are not really working, 100%, so those really need to just kind of go, which is unfortunate. My kids don't really go to Walmart anymore. They have stopped buying toys from Walmart for a long time. I think even when they were like 5 or 6, they just go like, well, instead of going to Walmart, can I get like $5 or $10? And then they just go to Roblox. They go to Roblox.
Go to what?
Roblox. It's a game website, but it's kind of interesting too. It's semi-related to programming. So Roblox is a website where you can actually make your own game using programming using a programming language called Lua, L-U-A. And you can make your own game. You can market it. You can make money out of your own game and stuff like that. So my son, just goes, spend his money on Roblox or on Steam and stuff like that. And it's actually much better spent that way because for the same $20 or $10 or $15 or whatever, you can play these games for like months, sometimes even years, and there's nothing to throw away. So it's much more environmental, and I think he is getting a lot more entertainment for the same amount of money. If he were to go to Walmart and buy a toy, he'll be bored of it like within a week. I mean, there's no toy at Walmart that would keep my children occupied for more than a few hours. But these, they can play for a long time.
And you pay each time you go in.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope, it depends on the game. Some are free, some are not free. You can write your own game if you're a developer. This is actually pretty good as a introduction to game programming because the entire platform is web-based. which is really cool because now you can just go to the website and play. Some of the games are actually fairly well done as well. So when you look at the visual effect, when you look at the artwork, some people actually put time into it. Other ones are kind of like, I don't know about that, because it's really just kind of blocks. So it's actually not bad. I mean, it's a good place to get started into game programming because they have all the same kind of stuff as Unity and Unreal, game engines, except this is not like super duper industrial strength. It can run from a web browser. I mean, that tells you that it's not like super duper. You can't really play hardcore games using this engine, but it's a good way to get into it. Okay, so getting back to App Inventor, Bluetooth stuff. Okay, so let's just say that you want to automate something. This also relates to people who want to go to the Design Hub and do things. Okay, so let's just say that you want to make a little controller out of an Arduino board and control some really simple machinery or whatnot. Okay, to automate certain things, like a pet door. Okay, so you want to say that I only want to allow certain pets to go out at a certain time, and other ones cannot go out. So, but all pets are now they're RFID'd. Do you guys know that? Does anyone own pets? Okay, so they all have RFID, right? So you can have an RFID scanner at the pet door, and a locking or unlatching mechanism. So if it's Toby, then you open it, let it go, and if it is Fluffy, then Fluffy stays indoor. Okay, because Fluffy is a flea magnet, cannot go outside. So the thing about this is instead of having a user interface on the device, you can make a Bluetooth, you can enable that thing to talk in Bluetooth, and then you can have your App Inventor thing to talk in Bluetooth so that you can program your embedded controller using the interface on a cell phone. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So you can look into what you can do with a client and also with a server. So with the client, what you can do is, so when you look at the events, there's none. But when you look at what you can do is you can connect to an address. So you have to be able to specify the address and the serial port profile. And the main stuff you can do is to receive bytes and also to transmit bytes. So you can basically receive bytes. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with receiving, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with sending as well. So it's a serial communication, pretty simple. And the other thing that's really kind of cool about this is debugging it is easy because it's all text. So when you're debugging it, you can actually have your phone to connect to your computer and run a dumb terminal. So they can use a dumb terminal to say that, okay, I'm pretending that I'm the Android or the Arduino device, and then you can interact with your app to kind of debug your app.
So the Bluetooth server, where is that living at?
So the Bluetooth server is actually on your phone. So your phone can be either or both at the same time. So your phone can be the server as well. So when your phone is the server, you can see that you have pretty much the same thing. You have receive and send, okay? And the only difference is the client is the one that is initiating the connection, and then the server is the one that is saying, okay, yes, let's talk. So the main difference between the client and the server is who is initiating the connection. So it's up to you. With most devices, like a headset, the headset is actually the client. In other words, when you turn on a Bluetooth wireless headset, it is actually asking the server, which is your phone, and say, hey, should we connect? And that's why when you turn on a Bluetooth headset, it can quote unquote automatically connect to your phone because the headset is the client. It is initiating that request to connect with your phone acting as a server. But a cell phone can act as either. It can act as a client. It can also act as a server.
Does it make it
Bluetooth has a certain level of encryption, but it's not really secure.
Okay.
It was never meant to be. So yes, so I would not transmit anything that is really high security over Bluetooth, which means in a Bluetooth keyboards, you have to be kind of careful when you use a Bluetooth keyboard because all the keys are being sent by Bluetooth protocol, between the keyboard and your phone. So if you're typing in your password, technically speaking, it is not a very strong encryption that Bluetooth is using. Well, but it has a limited range, so that's the other thing that's about Bluetooth is it has very limited range. So that means if somebody is too far away, they can't really pick up the signal.
Right down the street from the high school. Some of those kids are really creative.
Yeah, maybe. So you can look up.
And I have seen it. In fact, sometimes they even leave their trash in front of my trash can. And I'm at home.
Okay, so here's an article from 2013. I really need to turn on that date range thing, right? So go to Tools, and we click here. Say past year. There we go. So Bluetooth security mode level encryption. So we will take a quick look at this. Okay, so what Bluetooth security modes are supported by the Honeywell scanning products? So it's only 128-bit, which is not much. So the question is, how do I know? How can I just look at 128-bit encryption and go like, nah, that's not enough? Because this is 128-bit was used by WEP or Web Equivalent Protection, and that is known to be it's not secure enough for Wi-Fi communication. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if you look up Wi-Fi and WEP, so WEP is a weak encryption method. Okay, let me see if I can find the best description here. Okay, so WEP is wired equivalent privacy, and you can see right away security poor. But the most important part is how many bits of encryption are we talking about? It doesn't say here. Okay, let me see if I can find a better description here. There we go. Okay. So right here it says encryption detail. Okay. So 64-bit web, and then the most advanced version is 152-bit and 256-bit from some vendors. But the 128-bit web is supported by most routers that claims to support WEP. The 152 and 256-bit are only available from certain vendors to strengthen the encryption. And that's because 128-bit is not secure enough. So if Bluetooth is only using 128-bit encryption, that means it's falling into the same category of poor encryption. Is that okay? Now, the way to crack encryption like this is somebody has to be listening to the traffic of your router or your Bluetooth devices for a long period of time. So they have to listen to enough packets in order to single out the exact key that you're using for that communication. So with Wi-Fi, it's a big deal because if you're streaming video or if you're using the internet all day long, because now we have the Internet of Things, right? So everything hooks up to the internet, and that's constant traffic. So with constant traffic, I think it takes about a day or so, to rule out all the other keys to single out one single key with WEP. So it doesn't take much time. But when you're talking about Bluetooth devices, which is a low bandwidth device, which means it cannot really pump a lot of data through in a short amount of time. So that means it's much harder for someone to accumulate enough traffic to single out the key. So Bluetooth being a slower protocol actually has that to its quote unquote advantage when it comes to not being easy to crack, or not as easy to crack. So that's why if you have a Bluetooth keyboard, I would be kind of careful. Make sure that you don't use it in an environment where you might be suspecting that there will be hackers. But Bluetooth is a much weaker signal as well. I mean, if I walk away, if I have a Bluetooth device here and I walk away like 30 feet away, it will lose communication. So that means, you don't have as much of a concern because, Wi-Fi can go a lot further compared to Bluetooth. Is that okay? Now, since we're on this subject, and this class talks about mobile devices, I got to show you certain things. Like, it's called Wi-Fi sniping, and no, it has nothing to do with guns. Although some of these may look like a gun, like this one, hack rifle. Okay, I got to show you this one. This one is really cool. I hope nobody is offended by something that looks like a gun, but is not actually a gun. Okay, let me magnify a little bit. It's not it is an airsoft gun, underneath. So they're only using an airsoft gun as a platform instead of making the entire thing out of wood, which takes a lot of work. So they use an an airsoft gun as a platform. But this part here is a directional antenna. So it's a directional antenna, which means the cone of reception, instead of being wide like this with a regular Wi-Fi, it's focusing all its reception within like only a few degrees. Okay, which also means it has amplification, and that's why you see the wire going into this box here. I'll bet you this box is the amplifier. So it's a signal amplifier. So with this kind of setup, you can probably snipe a Wi-Fi connection from maybe 1 to 2 miles away. Now in Sacramento, 1 to 2 miles is not really that useful because Sacramento is relatively flat. So what you can actually see, because this is line of sight also, because Wi-Fi signal gets attenuated or weakened significantly by concrete and other types of material. So you kind of need to have line of sight to use something like this. Okay, now but imagine you're in Los Angeles downtown.
So what does it get you?
You can sniff traffic from much further away than most people think you would be able to. Snipe. Yep. Okay, so we want to look at. Yep. Yep. It's almost like you're right in the office, except you're across the rooftop. You're on the rooftop across from the office that you're sniping. Okay, so I'm going to show you some pictures. Huh? They might be trying to steal data, trying to hack into an account or something like that. There we go. Okay, high gain Yagi Wi-Fi antenna. Build this long range antenna. Okay, let's visit. So somebody actually did the studying of how to space out those fish bones to get the optimal reception signal. And let's see, where's the picture of the thing deployed? Nope, they don't have any pictures. Watch a video. There's just a construction. Smartphone access point covering a long section of the street. So you can use that for trying to crack encryption of a network. Or if somebody, okay, so let's say you're in Los Angeles, and around the corner there's a coffee shop like Starbucks. Starbucks always has a free Wi-Fi, right? And let's say a hacker is trying to do something so that he or she is not really trackable. So using this kind of device, it is as if the person is in the coffee shop using the Starbucks free Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi, but except the person is actually maybe a mile away from the coffee shop. So when national security, spots, oh, somebody's trying to hack into our server. Do we get the IP address? Yes. Do we get the location? Yes. And then the SWAT team goes, I'll just be feeling very sorry for the other coffee drinkers, at Starbucks, because the actual culprit is going to be like a mile or two away from Starbucks using this directional antenna.
Person could be found guilty and they have no knowledge.
But they would suspect, right? Because the IP address is coming from that particular Starbucks establishment, and from watching many movies. Okay, we trust Hollywood, right? In how realistic they make things, right? So we know the National Security Department has the ability to track down from the IP address the actual location, which I really don't doubt. I mean, that's actually not difficult. That's pretty easy to do. So they can track down the physical location, except the hacker is not at the location. The hacker is actually now. If you think about this, you can relay it, right? Once you use the sniping thing, so the sniper, the sniping device can hook up to its own repeater, so the hacker can now be anywhere on the internet. Except the physical reported location is at that particular Starbucks. Now you can also do other kinds of bad things with these long-range directional antenna. For instance, instead of just trying to hack into some place, which is difficult because modern encryption is like 128-bit or 1028-bit or something like that. It's really uncrackable within a short amount of time. So instead of doing that, a hacker can decide, well, I'm just going to disrupt communication. So you basically just send your white noise and disrupt somebody else's Wi-Fi network, so nobody can actually get onto the network. And doing something like this, the person once again can do it from a remote distance instead of running the jammer inside the facility. Now you can run the jammer from a mile away from the place you want to jam. Yeah, all kinds of bad things you can do with this. And that is the reason why, when you look up, these types of setups, every single one has a rifle scope, because the range or the angle that this antenna is covering is about the same as the angle of view that a rifle scope has. So that's why they always have a rifle scope on top of that is calibrated, sighted in, with the antenna itself. Because if you try to aim that, using your bare eye, you can't really aim, correctly or accurately. So that's why you need a rifle scope to do it.
What are those pointed things?
You mean the fish bones?
Yeah.
The fishbone is what allows the antenna to be so directional. It has to do with the frequency that you're sniping. So these are all tuned to specific frequencies. I mean, the article that we just read about, has some mathematical and physics, formula to model, the actual gain and also the how do you call that? The pickup pattern of the antenna. Yeah, I know a guy who is now working for the Lawrence Livermore National Lab. So he had really crappy internet connection, where he was, and his friend who lived about a mile or two away had really good internet access. So one day they just decided to hook up two directional antenna on top of their chimneys, and then they were able to share the internet over 2 miles, but using regular Wi-Fi routers. So the router is not what is special. It is the antennae that are special. Yep, and they build the whole thing out of copper wire and piping that you can purchase from Home Depot. You just have to calculate what is the proper diameter and also what is the spacing of the coil to optimize for that
But if
frequency.
people do that, doesn't
Uh-huh.
it overall affect people?
Nope,
That
because
are
it's
on it?
very directional.
Okay.
Yep, so it only points to one direction.
Okay.
But it does get affected by weather too. So even the weather can affect the effectiveness of the communication. Yep. Cool stuff.
Yeah, I've never seen antennas that look like that.
Yep. Well, I mean, we do. I mean, back in the good old days of old style TVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
what
remember the
antennae
bigger
look like.
ones, but
Yeah.
these look pretty cool. These look like,
Well, they look smaller because of the frequency.
yeah.
Because these operate on 2.4 gigahertz, which is the frequency of both Bluetooth and also Wi-Fi that is prior to N. So Wi-Fi G, all the way up to certain subbands of N, they're all in the 2.4 gigahertz range. N starts to use the 5 gigahertz range, so the antenna would look different. They'll be actually more smaller and more compact, because the shorter the wavelength or the higher the frequency, the smaller the antenna.
I remember my brother tried to get on top of the house
Mm-hmm.
and move the antenna a little way so we could make sure we have signal in the house. And someone would scream out, "No, move it a little bit more this way and that way." And this was the big antenna on the road.
Yeah, so this is really cool because you can have a Bluetooth communication means within your App Inventor app. So that means if you hook it up to an Arduino board, so Arduino boards are pretty inexpensive. I mean, they're in the range of like $20 or something like that. Okay, and you can hook up a Bluetooth module. So Bluetooth module for Arduino, and they run about $15 to $30. So for a total of less than $40, you can set up an Arduino with a Bluetooth module attached to it, and then you just have to program both sides, the Arduino side and also the Android side using App Inventor, and then you can have a serial communication going. So now it's up to you to invent your own protocol. Okay, whatever protocol you want to implement, to have to establish a connection and to do whatever you want to do, to control the other device, it's up to you. But the possibility is there. That makes it kind of useful because if you think about a cell phone, I mean the cell phone is really useful, has all kinds of devices in it, but these days we have all kinds of Bluetooth devices that kind of make cell phones much more useful. Like my Fitbit, okay, my Fitbit by itself is kind of useful. I have 1,631 steps, and my current heart rate is 87 beats per minute. Okay, it's kind of useful, but it doesn't log the data, right? So by communicating with a cell phone, I can now track how much exercise I have done, how my heart rate changes throughout the day, blah 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 blah. So that can be useful. So that means if you can hook up a Bluetooth device to your app, it can potentially make your phone or your app a whole lot more useful. They make devices that can read your mental state. I cannot remember the name of that thing, but I'm not kidding because some of you may be writing or are interested in apps that can do meditation and soothe the mind, right? So we can have it's not mind reading; it's more like brain wave reading, Bluetooth. I think this will find it. Yep, there we go. It's called the Muse. I keep forgetting the name of the device. So this is the Muse. I actually bought one, out of curiosity. I bought one, and it's really quite interesting. So the way it hooks up to your brain is it has these electrodes here, so they connect to your forehead. It has two electrodes here and here as well, so they hook up to your, like behind your ear. So when you wear this device, by measuring the very small electrical current, using at these electrodes, it can tell whether your brain wave is alpha, beta, or theta. There are different types of brain waves. Okay, so there's actually a science behind these things. So if you look up brain wave, alpha, beta, delta, and theta,
For sleeping then?
no, it's for calming your mind.
When you have a panic attack or anxiety attack.
Yeah, but it can actually read that.
Those are the phases of sleep.
Possibly, but it also corresponds to whether your mind is busy or whether you're calm or stuff like that. So having a Bluetooth device that can do that is a big deal because now you can actually in real time, have biofeedback and know that, oh, okay, my mind is still kind of busy. Let me focus on my breathing and see if that helps, right? So, as an inventor, if you're an inventor and you'd like to invent stuff, but you don't want to make the device difficult to use, like a user interface, use the phone as the remote user interface. Using Bluetooth, communicate with the device. So now your device only needs an on-off button, right? It doesn't need anything else, or maybe a pairing button on top of that. So all kinds of possibilities, when you have a device that is Bluetooth enabled. So are we good? Okay. So getting back to that, real life GPS-based Dungeon and Dragon, you can have Bluetooth-enabled swords, shields, helmets, and stuff like that. Yeah. You can pretend the cafeteria is a fortress, right? And just charge. It would be kind of cool. You just have to let the authority on campus know ahead of time that you have a D&D event going on.
Cool, it doesn't have to be a ARC.
Yes. You can pick a national park as a forest, or a backyard if you have a big backyard.
All the scenes are in the bar scenes. Every fight's a bar fight.
Using Bluetooth-enabled fake swords and shields.